What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. My chain turned up, which is not a bad thing. See, today is Tuesday and we're in the dyno on Thursday. So this needs to get done. It's nothing special, it's just off eBay. And I already don't like it because it's got one of those stupid little clips on it. So I've always got some of the rivet links kicking about in my toolbox. So he's having one of them. Because I hate these things. Oh, shiny and gold. Look at that. Choo-choo chain. You look at some of the rubbish marketing stuff on here. Don't believe any of this for a second. The longevity of seal ring chain is more than 5 to 8 times of a normal chain. No, it ain't. That's just some rubbish you put on the box to sell more of them. So anyway, idea is, obviously we did the dog bones and stuff last time round, and we changed the gearing, and the chain that's on it ended up being just too short because we've changed the angle of the swing arm and the size of the sprockets and all this other stuff. So it just needs another chain to get it going again. And that is pretty much it basically. What we're going to be doing in this video, I'll get this chain shoved on it, we'll get it all buttoned down and put back together again so I can ride it, so that'll all be sweet. Then we're also going to have a look at, oh that's nice, see look, and we're also going to have, oh no it is a rivet one, great, so it says on the box it's a split link one with a stupid clip, but it's not. It's a proper one. Right, we'll use that instead then. It can go back in the toolbox. Yeah, also going to have a look at the costs. So, because there has been quite a lot that's gone on. Quite a lot. A lot of stuff has been monkeyed with. So what we'll do is I'll break down the costs for you so you can see exactly how much I put into the bike to get it to this sort of state. I only bought it for 400 quid. I mean, yeah, that's cheap as chips. However, there was quite a lot that needed doing. And if you're going to get yourself a project bike, you can look at it and go, oh, that's nice and shiny. But it's not until you start using it or start looking at it or start checking at it that you figure out that all this other stuff is junk and you've got to change it anyway. So project bikes always cost. And I'll try and figure out how much Asbo has cost me to get it done. Yeah, that's all right, that'll do. Sweet! Right, let's get on with it. Right, I know some people are going to be going, oh, you shouldn't have ground off the top of your rivet. Well, it's just easier. I've got a chain breaker tool, but the same as all my tools in here. The pins on it are just rubbish. The rest of it is really good, the body and everything. No worries there at all. However, the pins are junk. They're not as hard as I would like them to be. And they're just rubbish. They all sort of mush them over on the end. So I found literally just taking the top off the rivet so it's down to the flat. Then, you know, it kind of saves the pins. I do need to try and find some proper hard ones. Either that or get these ones hardened. But that's that. So let's shove him in there like that. Stick handle on it. Come on, there we go. See, the body's all right, and all this lot's all right. It's just the pin. So he goes on the back of the link and sits in, and then wind this in so the pin is on the rivet. Let's wind you out a bit. He's all snug. What size are you? 12 mil? At a guess. No. No, you're 14. Right then. I'm on. There we go. Sorted. The pins are just rubbish. Absolute rubbish. What are we going to need next? Right, the axle's all the way through. Chain's threaded round the sprockets. And the axle is just a little bit forward of the centre position on here. But if we line the chain up for where it's going to go, see we've got a fair amount of slop in here. But if you move the axle back even just a little bit, it takes all the tension out of the chain. It doesn't take a lot of movement on the axle to really wind your chain up. Something worth noting. I got it wrong. This is actually one of those little jobbies with a split clip thing. I don't like these, so I am going to be using the riveted one that I've got in the toolkit. We took one of these off Asbo. That's what he originally had on it. Come on. Come out. Right. So you get these little clips. And I don't like these. In racing days, I have seen these come off and then the chain sort of follows it quite quickly. What I would say, if you are going to use these, make sure you get the clip around the right way. Basically the rounded bit, not the open bit, but the rounded bit has to go like the forward direction that the chain's going to go. Do it the other way and they do come off quick. There was even one goon, he tried lock wiring it in place on his chain. Don't do that, it's a really stupid idea and it lasts about 30 seconds. Right, so this is the one that we are going to be using. It's a proper one. I prefer the riveted ones, they're just better. So this is an X-ring chain and that just refers to the little rubber O-rings that go between the plates. X-ring is shaped like an X, O-ring is just round. These are supposed to hold more grease, although school's out on that one. I've just always used X-ring wherever I can get it. So let's start assembling some of this then. So, oh, why do they put it in tiny little packets that you're never going to open once you've got greasy fingers? Right, so there's our X-rings. If you have a look at them, I don't know, can you see that? See, it's not just a normal O-ring. You see the cross section? It's quite a clever idea, I suppose. I get why I did it. It's an awful lot of fuss over it though. Right, have a corner off that. Right, so all we've got to do now, this little plate, it's got 2 holes in it. And basically it sits over the rivets like that. So the idea is you put this in your little tool, he clamps on over top, and if you get it lined up just right and clamp it up, then those pins will pop through those holes all the way through the plate, and you can squash the plate down together. So you kind of make the link. It's not the easiest thing, because it is kind of a really snug fit, but with a little bit of luck, going on. I think so. Let's just have it off and have a look. Well, they are going on. Let's get a socket. He's going on. I'm always worried that you're not going to get this line up and you're just going to roll over the ends of the rivets. So I tend to like do a little bit, pull it off and check it. There we go. Yeah, I think we're in. That'll do. Right, so you can see the rivets are sticking out through the link now, which is sweet. Right, next bit. Got two little things here. One's an anvil and one's like a compression tool. This is getting mullered as well. But there you go in the tool. Let's just take him out. Then all we're going to do is rivet this link in place. It's not hard, you just have to be steady with it. Right, so this bit you do have to get it lined up right. So, the back anvil, come on. Back anvil goes over the rivet and you'll feel it kind of bottom out. Then you've got to get that little bump in the middle of the front anvil just to sit on in the middle of the rivet. I tend to snug it up so it's like that and give it a quarter of a turn. There we go. And then have a look-see. Only reason is I don't want to be off centre. I want it smack in the middle, which we are on that one, which is good. Now I'll do the same on the other one, and then we'll measure it. So, anvil on the back. Come on, why aren't you going on the back? Oh, there we go. There we are. That little ball thing in the middle. Snug him up. And just give it a quarter turn. And have a look at that one. Normally find it's only about half a turn that you need to give it, but it's worth checking this stuff. You probably don't have to do this bit, but I'll do it anyway, just because then I know I'm kind of where I need to be. So the pins on this split link, the rivet pins, are exactly the same size as this. However, these ones have kind of been folded over. If you look on the edge of them, they've been dished out on 4 sides, so kind of flattened. So all I try and tend to do is, if I measure the width of one, which is as the factory did it, that's 5.67, and then measure the width of mine, that's 5.26. And where's the other link? If we have a look and measure the link that I pressed out of it, 5.24. So we've only just really started to kind of flange it out. So what we'll do now we've had that first go at it, is we'll have another stab. We'll open it up a little bit more and try and get it in the ballpark of the factory ones, if that makes sense. Just because that way you know they're all equal. And I'll just do it quarter turn at a time. So he's snugged up. Quarter turn. Right, so we have 5.6. 5.6. So the size of these riveted pins is now the same size as that, so I'm happy with that. That'll do. Good enough for the factory, it's good enough for me. Turn him off, because somehow he always seems to turn himself back on again. And that's it. One riveted link. It is a different colour. Do I care? No. But he's on. I just need to nip this up. What size are you? You that one? Yes. And then we just got to tension the chain and tighten up the front sprocket, and we're basically in. It's just a case of buttoning stuff back down together again. Come on. All these weird and wonderful fixings he's got in various different places are going to do my head in. I can tell you that for nothing. They should just all be the same. However, when we come to do the project build, it will all get addressed. So I ain't too fussed. It's not a bad little tool, it's just a cheap one. And they are handy, and it's a sort of tool that you don't need very often. But when you want one and you ain't got one, do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, that's when it becomes an issue. There are better, more expensive ones that you can get. So if this is the sort of thing that you was doing all the time, I would definitely get a better one than this, because this is junk. But for what I'm doing, she's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. All right. He's all talked up. I did, because it's only me here, I haven't got anybody to sit on the bike and hold the back brake on. Essentially, I shoved a bar, which it is wrapped up in a cloth, so I'm not like scratching the crap out of anything else. But it's basically the safety bar for the lift. Basically shove it through. It's long enough that it goes onto both sides of the swing arm, and it just catches the wheel in the middle. They don't tell you to do it in the manual, but when you're on your own, you know, certain things have to give. So I know people are going to frown at it, but you know, what can I do? It's only me here. Right, so let's get all this locked down, then we'll set the wheel alignment and the chain tension. because I think we're a little bit tight. But we shall see, we shall see. Right then, just for comparison, because I said I would, the dog bones that we took off were basically 6mm shorter than the ones that I've just put on. That is going to make a difference. Same thing with the gearing. Changing the gearing, putting a bigger sprocket on the back and all that is going to shorten the wheelbase. I didn't measure the wheelbase, but I am particularly too fussed about it. Looking on here, it is going to be about 10mm, something like that. But let's have a look and see what's happened with the swing arm. So if we turn on this protractor, stick it on the bench just like we did before. We'll zero that again. So there's our 0. This was 12.5 degrees. It is now 8 degrees. So 6mm difference on the dog bones equates to like 4.5mm. That's actually quite a lot. The distance between when I put this slacker on before, we went off the centre of the axle up to this point up here. So he's on there. And this was 155mm. So if we check him now, exactly in the same part of the V, it's now 128mm. So that is quite a difference. Quite a difference. You know, it's tiny little bit down here has massive effects on the rest of the bike. So if you're going to go throwing a massive lift up kit on your bike, you are drastically going to be changing the geometry of it, and there is a price to be paid. If you have the bike too far up on its nose, it will go into a corner, happy as Larry up to a certain point, it will just drop into it. Go too far and it won't, it will just slide off and into the kitty litter. However, in a straight line, when you give it the beans, it will turn into a shopping trolley with a wonky front wheel. It'll be horrible to ride, proper nasty. Similarly, if you go too far the other way and it's counted back too far, then it'll be happy as Larry in a straight line and wouldn't know what a corner is if you bashed it with one, which you probably would do. Stock settings is a good thing. It's basically designed pretty much for any market, any weight of rider, any style of riding. It's safe, basically. So if in any doubt, just go back to stock and then start tweaking and twitching and you know, changing things from there. But that should always be your base point of reference, in my humble opinion, I think. So what I'm expecting on this now is that before, where you're sitting up on it, because it's quite an upright bike, and you get the wind in your chest and you get blown about because it's quite light as well, plus it had the jack up kit on it, she was very twitchy, and like where you're getting blown about, that was translating into steering inputs. That, I'm hoping, is now gone, or is a damn sight better than it used to be. And then we will start monkeying about from there and see what we can get her to do. I'm going to need to get some stickier tyres and newer tyres than these, because these are pretty much, well, I mean, there's loads of tread left on them, but they're just rock solid because they're old. So there you go. Be wary about lowering this too much as well. You can get lowering kits for them, although it is quite a low bike. One thing I will say, you remember what, if you go and have a look at the other, I'll stick one of those links up here so you can refresh your memory, where I was talking about anti-squat. So that's basically, there is an angle, sort of, if you were to draw a line from the axle to the pivot point on the swing arm and then to the front sprocket, there is an angle there, okay? And basically, because the wheel is being driven this way, so the bottom of the wheel is being pushed forwards, essentially the wheel is connected to the axle, so the axle is being pushed forward as well, and that kind of brings the swing arm down, that anti-squat. If you go past level, this is again why this is so important, if you go past level and sort of up a little bit, you get into pro squat, because the axle is now above the plane drawn by these 2 points. So as you give it large, you can compress the suspension even more. That'll be really bad. So be careful when you're lowering them as well. You know, if you need to get down that far, you're probably talking about changing the mounting points for shocks and where the swing arm sits and all that sort of stuff on the frame. So that's like proper fabrication. Don't think you can just drop it as much as you want and get away with it, because you won't. There is so much to think about with doing all this. You can't just, you know, oh, give that a bash, that'll be all right. No, it won't. Think it through. Right. Okay, so I just need to set my gear shift position and we're in. Right, that's it then. All sorted. We are ready for the dyno. Like I say, today's Tuesday. Dyno's booked in for Thursday. So I'm just gonna take it out and ride it, make sure I'm happy with it, make sure there's no funny noises, nothing falls off it, all that sort of stuff. Because when she comes to going on a dyno, she is going to get lent on. Big styly. Essentially, if it's not in the red line, he's not trying hard enough. It should scream. So, because basically you want to push the bike to its limit just to see what's what. I think, if memory serves, if you believe all the lying marketing stuff, these made 70, 75, 78 horsepower when it was new. That was 23 years ago. I'm expecting there to be a few horses that have bolted to stable. It is an old engine. Modern day 600s produce way more than that and not even trying. But in part, that's why I kind of went for the Bandits. Like old school cafe races and stuff, it was all about stripping them down to the bare minimum and tuning them up and having to really work them to try and break the 100-mile-an-hour lap and all that sort of stuff. So I like that it's underpowered. It also means you can take liberties with it. Once you get the handling sorted, days. So, you know, I mean, they're quite a forgiving bike, but I quite like the idea that you're going to have to really work for it if you get some good results, you know, on a road or a track or anything else like that. And, you know, they're good little engines, they're good little bikes, they've got a really sound record. We'll just see what she makes. I reckon if we're making 70 to 75, I'll be quite happy with that, actually. The engine is absolutely bone stock. The only thing different to it is the exhaust and the air filters. Everything else is as it was. So yes, that is going to make a little bit of difference. Is it going to be perfectly matched for the engine? No, it was a homebrew knock-up. There's going to be a compromise there. We are still running the airbox at the minute, so that's going to help generating power. It's more about not having big holes in the power graph. That make sense? So anyway, I reckon 70 to 75, but we'll see on Thursday. What else are we going to say? Oh, costs. Right, let me take you through the costs whilst we're waiting on dyno day. Right. I had to write all this down because I was never going to remember it all. Right, so as far as cost goes, everything I got for this I got off eBay because of lockdown. Everything was shut, all the bike shops and everything else just closed their doors. So I was kind of limited. Didn't go for the mega cheapie because some of them is like £5 for that, you're joking. But also didn't go OEM. So an awful lot of this is just aftermarket stuff. But this is what you could do it for. So the bike cost me £400, and then all the parts, yeah, and there's a few, sort of add up a little bit. So basically there's coils, air filter, fuel cap, because that other one was junk. 98 jets, which we didn't end up using, or did we? I can't know. There's the other jets we didn't use. Clutch plates, 105 and 102.5 jets, rear foot pegs, exhaust clamp, exhaust gasket, fuel tap service kit, brake pads, fork seals, carb service kit, rear brake caliper service kit, front brake caliper service kit, brake caliper paint, Haynes book of fairy tales. Which has been useful, as I quite like just having a book instead of having to look at stuff on your phone. But anyway, I got a box of electrical connectors just because some of them were junk. Another fuel tap service kit. I don't know where that came from, but somehow I bought two. So I'll keep the other one, that'll be fine. Got some Jubilee clips, front brake master cylinder repair kit, rear brake master cylinder repair kit, throttle cables, engine oil, 2 lots, because I hydraulicked it if you remember, and I filled all the engine oil full of fuel. Oil filter, full core and brake fluid. And we've also got the dyno run, that's 35 quid. But anyway, all in all, the spare parts for this have cost £585, 94p, which ain't too shabby. So in total, you know, having got the bike, as it did run, but then it didn't, and then there was truckloads of stuff wrong with it that I've had to fix and everything else, I've put £985, 94p into it. That's what it owes me. Which, is it worth it? Yeah, I think she's worth that. I think she's worth more than that if you look on eBay at some of the bikes being sold. Something like that currently, I was grubbing about last night. Basically, that year, you don't know if there's stuff that needs to be done to it. You know, you know, maybe new tyres, or oh, I've got to get new tyres. But you know, is the clutch on the way out? If the brakes need doing? Have you got any oil seals going? This sort and the other. You don't really know, just looking at the descriptions. But they're going for like the best part of 1,800 quid. So I'm definitely in. I'm happy with this. That's all quite cool. Right. Fast forward now, because she's all ready. Apart from the chain, I do need to tighten the chain up a little bit. I think chain looks a bit. Oh, is it all right? No, it's probably a bit loose. I don't know. We'll see. The next bit of this is Dyno Day, D-Day. That's Thursday, 9:30. We're having that. Right, this is McPherson Motorcycles in Plymouth. Yeah, they're squirreled away up the back of Commercial Street. Did take me a little while to find it. But this is it. It looks like a converted house, but it's like all garages and dyno and everything else inside. Upstairs, all that funky lighting, that's the customer area. Very cool. We'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, so they're looking to, basically Chris has been going a year. He's the owner, that's Chris. Give us a wave. He's been going a year and he's basically looking to turn it into a bit of everything. So as well as tuning shop and crash repairs and servicing, MOTs, all that sort of stuff, they're proper getting into it. Right, so this is Matt.
Hi guys.
He's host with the most. He's the fellow that you'll probably end up speaking to if you ever phone him up.
Yeah, we'll gas a lot.
I would say you're Chris, but you don't like cameras.
He does not, no, he doesn't.
So what is it you're doing here though? I mean, you've been going like a year, right?
Yeah, we've been here a year now, mate. So obviously Chris and me have kind of like known each other throughout like kind of like the past, and obviously we've always been in the motorcycle trade, you know, so we've always kind of done this thing. Chris has obviously been an apprenticeship throughout years in other garages.
Yeah.
Went into a mainstream garage, and I think just a light bulb went one day and thought, do you know what? Let's do my own garage, but let's do a speed shop. Theoretically, that's where we're kind of going with it. So, kind of jumped on board with Chris, and here we are, a year later. So, we got a dyno, MOT bay, we do all your servicing, no bike we won't touch, and that's what we're here for. But we're petrol heads ourselves, you know, so we're well into tuning, making things go quick. So if you want to, for your simple, basically just like your power runs, like you've come in today, you know, if you've got your home garage stuff that you like doing, and you want to just come in, see what the little baby's doing, putting out some horsepower, cool, put her on the dyno, you know, 35 quid, she's on, we'll give you a little power run, you know, just a little taste of what you can get out of the bike at the end of the day, you know.
You're the fellow with the H2 as well, isn't you?
I have got a H2, mate.
Have you had that on the dyno yet?
Yeah, mate, yeah, she's been on the dyno a few times now, yeah.
God.
Yeah. Shall I give away secrets?
Yeah, go on, what was it?
So basically the plan for the H2 was, like I said to Chris, obviously I bought the H2 and I was just like, do you know what, should we just go stupid with it? And he was like, well, that's your wallet, not mine. So I was like, alright, let's go stupid with it. So she's running 250 brake at the rear wheel at the moment.
250 horsepower?
Yeah, 250 horsepower. Yeah, if you check out the website or our Facebook page, she's on there. barfing flames out as long as your arm. Yeah, you know. So she does like to spool it up a little bit well. But yeah, we've done everything. So we stripped her right back. We put Extreme Creations intercooler on her with a plenum chamber. So there's a nice billet aluminium piece. Costs silly money. We won't get into pricing on things, but if you buy a premium bike, you're paying for premium costs at the end of the day. That's kind of the balance act you got to look at. Uprated fuel rail, uprated injectors, stage 3 charger gearing, full acropovic system. The list goes on. I won't bore you about it, but if you're going to do something, do it right. That's the way I say it.
So what's your plans for the shop then? So you're doing like servicing, MOTs, dyno runs, tuning, all that kind of stuff. Is it like more a tuning shop, or is it like you look at it?
We've got to cater for all the market at the end of the day. You know, we can't just specifically be like, you know, from the guy that's just using his bike for a workhorse, you know, to the guy that wants to, like me, just have something to use 4 times in a year, but remove his bowels while he's doing it each time. You know, that's the way we kind of want to go it. It's basically a motorcycle shop, but we just kind of want to like elevate it that little bit more, be that sort of like pinnacle in the southwest, you know, which kind of like dominates the market, because there's nothing down here which really caters for the guy that like wants to tune his bike, or he just wants to have that sort of garage you can come up, sit around, chill out, have a coffee, and just, you know, generically just have that sort of like old school biker feel, you know, like they would do back in the days, but it would have been at their mate's garage or something, you know. And they got this guru of Spanner Monkey in his garage, and he's working on all their little old Nortons and Triumphs, and back in the days of all these Triumphs and Norton frame builds and stuff, bringing it into the modern era. There's loads of places up north that do this sort of thing, and it's a big thing. But when you come past Bristol, there's nothing down here for us. There's nothing. So Chris had the light bulb, my light bulb kind of switched, and we just went, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, it didn't blow up.
No, right.
Awesome. Right, the all important question, how much did she make? I will scan a copy of this so you can see kind of what's what. But basically after doing his runs and stuff, we did a power run, coming off this graph, I asked him for actual horsepower at the wheel and then to explain the corrected horsepower basically. So she came in at 67 brake horsepower at the rear wheel. Which go, oh, that's not a lot. That's not bad, not for a 23-year-old bit of kit. And that's actual horsepower at the wheel. So then you get corrected horsepower, or as the marketing stuff states, this is the horsepower of it, that's basically at the crank. There is a calculation that you can do and everything. It works out like 8%. So that means that at the crank, she's making a tad over 72.3, 72.4, something like that. Which isn't bad when you consider all the marketing stuff says, I think it was either 75 or 78. So we have lost a few horses, definitely. But we was always going to. It's 23 years old. But it's not too shabby. If you look at the dyno, we've got a torque curve as well. So, you know, it kind of makes its torque quite quickly and stuff. It does have a bit of a fit. Around sort of like the 4,000 to 6,000 bit, there is a fueling issue. And it could do with more fuel being dumped into it. But apparently all the 600s do. So I was having a chat about that. And he says, well, I suggested, you know, is it going to be a case of tweaking up the air-fuel mixture? I didn't think it was going to do much because you ain't going to see much gain. Not really. And apart from that, the air-fuel mixture works across the entire rev range, as does the idle circuit, because they're continuing to go. It's only when you get, you know, the needles actually getting lifted up because of the change in pressure that you're running on the main jets. Main jets, she's absolutely fine. There's no holes or anything. It's just that little bit down the bottom. So from 6,000, she pulls quite well. Very strong. So we got this little bit of a fueling issue, but he was saying that they all suffer from this a little bit. They all kind of have a fit around there, and it's very much a bit of a trade-off. Yes, we could correct it. Yes, we could tweak it. He did suggest lifting the needles a little bit, but I've already done that with one washer under them. And I said that if I stick another one in, doesn't like starting. And he says, well, yeah, that is going to happen. It is a trade-off. Personally, he would rather have it from 6,000 up to the top, making good usable power and a nice smooth curve. And I tend to agree with him, because that's kind of where you're spending most of your time anyway. So I'm happy with that. She done good, and she didn't blow up. She did get a bit loud though. She definitely shouted at the scenery. What was the other thing? So that's basically it, done and dusted now, as far as getting her back on the road, getting her roadworthy, getting her checked out. You know, it is good. And just riding it to and from McPherson's, changing the dog bones out has made a world of difference. It ain't twitchy or anything now, so where it was all getting buffeted about and that was tweaking the steering, all that has gone. Totally gone. The gearing is a lot more usable as well, so I'm glad we've gone back to stock. I do need to tighten the chain up though. You'll see that in the footage from the dyno shed. As you come off the power, there's a big ripple that goes through the chain. It didn't feel too bad here when I was doing it, and I didn't end up, you know, slacking it off or anything else. But she does need to get nipped up just a tiny bit. One other thing worth watching, you know, in the previous video I was talking about anti-squat. You can really see that on a dyno, because when he gets on the beans, the back end of the bike lifts up. So if you think about the three forces we were talking about, there's it's obviously the chain pull, which is trying to flatten out the swing arm, is anti-squat, which is trying to stand the back of the bike up because the axle's being pulled in. And the other one is the weight transfer. Now on a dyno, you don't get the weight transfer because you're static. So it's quite interesting to watch the back end of the bike and see how it actually reacts to the forces of chain pull and anti-squat. And anti-squat wins. But you know, again, it's just a demonstration of don't be goofing about with dog bones. That angle is important. It's there for a reason. But have a look, I'll put a little clip up, you can see. So that's it. You might notice on my lid, I've now got one of these. That's because I've got a new fitting for my GoPro wannabe cheapy jobby camera that I got off eBay as well. So we're going to go out for a ride. The last thing really I want to change is the tyres. The tyres are old and knackered and they are proper hard. But there's also going to have been wear there as well. So to get a gist of what she properly feels like and what the handling really is like, I need to get a new set of tyres on there because it will make it turn in different, totally different. We are going to be going with the stock sizes. All right, everything about this is stock. So I think it's a 110/70 and a 155/60, something like that. I need to check the book of words, but we're going stock. Don't know what tyres we're going to use yet. They ain't going to be mega amazing, super sticky, but you know, they'll be good enough for what I want to do. And then we can start leaning on it and seeing what the handling's actually like and what we want to change. But now that she's all back together again and sorted, we might go out for a hoon. I'll take you with me. We'll have some thoughts on what she's like, but then I'm getting back on Jixit. Far too long that bike has sat in the corner and she needs some loving. So that's it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. It has been quite a lot of fun. I do like mucking about in the dyno shed. That's a good day when you get to do that. But anyway, take it easy, stay safe. Got it right that time. And we'll see you again next time. Laters.